Real life drama that probably shouldn't be on the internet, but this is your fault because these are your stories and you sent them in to be read on the internet. You have only yourself to blame. I crashed my sister's wedding to expose her husband for cheating behind her back. Due to family privacy, fake names will be used. I, 29 male, am an older brother to my sister. We will call her Hannah, 25 female. This took place last year when my sister was getting married to her fiance. We will call him Todd. To give some context, I'll give a bit of background to help set the stage. Set it. Todd and I met during our junior year in high school and we instantly became friends. He and I had lots of shared interests and he seemed like a really cool guy. One day, he and Hannah came up to me and told me they were dating and they wanted to see if I would be okay with that. Normally, I don't want my friends dating my sister, but the fact he went out of his way to ask me beforehand showed me that he was exactly the kind of guy I wanted my sister to be with. Fast forward a few years later, they got engaged and Todd asked me to be his best man. I felt like this, why am I excited? Here I am like, oh, this love story. Todd sucks, I think, from the title of this. I felt like this was the perfect match. Oh, how I was horribly wrong. And so was my reaction to all of this. I forgot what was happening here. About a month before the wedding, I began to have some suspicions that Todd was having an affair. Most siblings don't seem to have a healthy relationship, but me and Hannah have always been close. We've always had each other's backs and stuck together through everything. One night, me and Todd were having a guys' night out together at my place. Hannah was off on vacation for her bachelorette party, so me and Todd decided to have a guys' night out. We ordered pizza and drinks and we're having your typical fun night of fun. Okay, so a lot of fun was had. Todd then went to use the bathroom, so I was just sitting on the couch watching a ball game. To my right, I noticed his phone was on the couch buzzing and I caught a glimpse of the caller ID and it had a very beautiful woman in the background and the ID was labeled Queen. I will be damned. That immediately made me suspicious because the picture ID was not Hannah and I don't know any guy who would call any woman queen other than his wife or fiance. Yeah. At first I ignored it, but the phone buzzed again, but this time with a message from Queen. It read, "Let me know when you're leaving. Can't wait to see you." Alarm bells are ringing in my head when I read those words. I was full of anger and rage, but I decided to lay low. I was going to act like everything was normal so I could devise a plan to see who this queen was. A few minutes later, Todd comes back and sits down and grabs his phone. Then he tells me he's going to head home to get some sleep, a likely story, even though it was only 8:30 and Tom never goes to bed that early. As I stated, I played dumb and acted like normal and told him that I would see him the next time. Immediately, I called Hannah and told her to go somewhere private. I told her what I'd seen, but Hannah didn't seem too interested in what I was saying. I could tell she was drunk because her speech was slurred and she couldn't keep up with the conversation. I tried to explain that I think Todd was cheating on her, but in her drunken mind, she didn't believe me, and then she hung up the phone. After that, I decided to take matters into my own hands. See, I would have got in my car and I would have just followed him, because I'm crazy, and that sounds like fun, to be honest. Oh my God, if any of you called me to go follow one of your ex or current people to see if they're cheating, oh my God, put the seat warmers on, baby. I literally did that with one of my friends one time. And guess what? We found his car in a movie theater parking lot. And guess what? He was with another girl. Ah! I let some time pass, then drove over to Todd and Hannah's house to see if Todd was actually there. I pulled in and sure enough, I saw a Corvette parked in the driveway that I hadn't seen before. FYI, it's pitch black and Todd and Hannah's house had an acre of land, so there wasn't anybody around who could see me. I make my way up to the front door and I notice the drapes are opened. It was elevated, so I had to get creative and make something to be able to stand up to look inside. When I did, I peek inside and sure enough, I see Todd and Queen kissing on the couch. And you didn't even shut the blinds, Todd. Needless to say, I was shocked at what I had seen. My suspicions were right. Todd was cheating on my sister. I could have easily barged in, but I didn't want to cause a scene. I had a better idea. I pulled out my phone and took some pictures of them kissing where I was going to put them to good use. I was going to get revenge in the best way I could think of. Expose him on their wedding day. Oh no, but your poor sister. Eventually, the day of the wedding arrived and I was ready to put my plan into action, but as you could expect, I was trembling. I couldn't believe I was going to ruin my sister's big day. Yeah, that's all I'm thinking of. In my mind, I went back and forth about what if I wrecked my relationship with Hannah? Should I have done this earlier? My instincts were telling me to be quiet and would make me no better than Todd himself. That was the motivation I needed to go through with it. As the ceremony progresses, we get to the vows. As tradition, the pastor rhetorically asked, "If anyone here objects, speak now or forever hold your peace." My heart is beating like crazy because I was about to do something I would never envision myself doing. With lots of courage and bravery, I stood up and shouted, "I object!" I've always wanted to see this live. I always wondered, like, does anyone ever object? Why do they ask that? Like, do people actually object? Everyone turned and looked at me, and there were whispers. I walked up to the altar and told Hannah that Todd was a cheater and I had caught them in the act. At first, Hannah didn't believe me and told me to go sit down, but I refused. Then Todd walked up to me and told me to stop acting stupid because I was ruining their big day. That was what set me off. I pulled out my phone and showed the pictures I had taken of Todd and Queen kissing. I showed them to the pastor, and he was shocked. I then showed Hannah the pictures, and she started crying. I then looked at Todd, and all I could see was red. "You are not marrying my sister, you no good, cheating bastard." I shoved the phone into his face, and when he saw the pictures, he just stood there speechless. Hannah then said, "We're done, screw you," and then ran away sobbing. I tried to run after her, but she told me to stay away. At this point, I didn't know how to feel or what to do. I had just caused chaos on my sister's wedding day, but I questioned if doing so was the right thing based on her reaction. After some time passed allowing Hannah to gather herself, I walked into the service hall where Hannah was and sat next to her. I tried to come up with something good to say, but all I could say was, "I'm so sorry, sister." I expected her to lash out at me, but all I got was a hug. She started sobbing into my shoulder and I hugged her tightly, saying I'm sorry for ruining her day over and over. "You didn't ruin it, Todd did." I was a bit shocked, but totally relieved to hear those words. I told Hannah that I did this to expose him in front of everyone because cheaters need to be taught a lesson about how cheating never ends well. I figured by doing this, Todd would be well known as a cheater and that I would prevent this from happening to any other women. Well, if Todd is gonna cheat, he gonna cheat. I love my sister and I did what I felt like a brother should do in protecting her. Wherever Todd is, I hope he's crying like the lowlife he is. He's probably making out with Queen on the couch somewhere, to be honest. I mean, you're not asking my opinion, but I will give it. I understand the motive here. I'm only thinking, you know, if we had just talked to our sister and told her in private, she could have saved money on the wedding. But I also don't know the whole situation of the finances. But I'm like, man, like what a waste of a day and money and everyone else's time, you know? Next up is coming from Missy. Back in the 90s, when I was 19 years old, I met a 20-year-old guy named Randy that someone brought along to my birthday. We found interest in each other and decided to give dating a shot. We saw each other for a couple of days that upcoming week. The following weekend, I went to a local bowl and had fun. Yes, that was its name. To hang out with some friends, and he decided to show up and hang out. A guy from high school, Martin, was there with his cousin, Brian, who I had met before too. Brian told me about a party he had been invited to at the local disco next week. The disco was my favorite place to party, and the private party put up by the disco was one that I really wanted to go to. Well, let me tell you, I wish I was born in the disco era sometimes because they look so fun. Like, it's just not the same as the nightclubs and stuff that are out there, you know, in this generation. Oh, disco, man. Those look like a party. I really wanted to go to that party, and since the invite said he could bring a +1, he said I could get that spot. I turned to Randy and told him about the invite to make sure he was okay with it and understood that it wasn't a date. He said he didn't have a problem with it. The talk continued, and Randy slowly walked away from the group until he stood at a distance and just stared at us. My friend Greta asked if he was okay, and I had no idea. I walk over to him and ask, but he completely ignored me and refused to answer. I said I wanted to go home, and he refused to say goodbye. I walked back to the group and said goodbye to them, then waved at Randy and yelled, "Goodbye." Complete silence. I left, and not even 5 minutes later, Greta called me. Randy had gotten into his car and driven away so fast that she felt scared on my behalf. I have a feeling that Randy was in fact not okay with that plan. He had driven in the opposite direction of what I had walked, but she felt a need to warn me. Good friend. And oh boy, she did the right thing. I hung up and I heard a car come speeding from a side street I was close to. The direction he had driven in meant that he could have taken a small detour and ended up on the side street. I was on a long road on the way home, and he knew that he would see me. The only option I had was to step behind a bush belonging to the house that I was standing next to. The only house on this entire street to have a bush that went out to the sidewalk. I heard the car drive to the right and up the road that I was walking. I peeked out from the bush and saw his red car drive up the road and turn right into my neighborhood. That's when I started feeling scared. I knew he would either stay there or wait and drive back out on the road to search for me. If he went back out and drove down the street, he would see me once he passed that bush. So I got back out and hurried forward towards a gas station. Okay, this is feeling more like a true crime documentary. I reached it and saw headlights up ahead turning back out on the street. I ran to one of the gas pumps and sat down behind it while my heart was beating so fast in my chest. I heard his car pass and knew I once again had only a few minutes before he would be back at Bowlin' Fun and realize I wasn't there, and then he would come back to the street that I was on. Luckily, I had lived there all my life and knew of a shortcut. I ran out from the gas station, past 2 houses, and ran into the car sales place. I ran past the cars and down behind the building. There's a hole in the fence down there that leads to a road in my neighborhood. I got through the hole and walked towards my street. Once again, I heard his car further up and pressed myself up against the nearest bush. I stood there until I saw his car drive back past the same road to get back out on the long street. And then I sprinted as fast as I could up the road and to my road. We lived in the first house on that road, and I locked myself inside and slept in my brother's room that night. The reason for that was that the window in my room turned to the street, and he would figure out I was home if I pulled the curtains. Oh, good call. I never thought of that. Or he could go into the garden and look at me in there. He had no idea my brother wasn't home that night, so I could sleep in his room. Next day, I got ready to leave for the party. My parents had gone camping and I was home alone. Oh my God, girl, to be home alone during this time. I was locking the front door when I heard a car speed down the street. I knew that it was him. I ran around the house and pressed myself up against the wall and next to the patio door. I heard him walk into the driveway and ring the doorbell several times. Then he got back in his car and sped away again. I stayed off the roads walking to the party. I lived near a forest and decided to walk through that instead since he wouldn't be driving there. Needless to say, I did not want to see him ever again. Let me remind you that it had only been a week of us knowing each other, and he was driving around like crazy trying to find me in his anger. I dread to think what monster he would have turned out to be if I had been with him for a long time. Yeah, girl, probably what we see on Netflix in true crime documentaries. Oh my God, I almost dropped some tea about a crazy ex. Well, I try to be respectful. Oh my God, I just want to tell you. Oh my gosh. Anyways, okay, so someone I dated, I'm not gonna tell you what exactly happened in the beginning, not even worth it, but I have to tell you, fuck it, I'm gonna tell you. This person in the beginning stages, very beginning stages, few weeks in, started picking up on some crazy behavior, okay? And I was like, Caught them going through my phone. They found nothing, but they didn't know that I know they went through my phone. I caught them in the act, physically, as I peeked around the corner, and then they put my phone back in my purse. Oh, that fucker found nothing, because I'm great. Anyways, immediately, we left the family barbecue that we were at on his behalf, and we were supposed to go hang out at my house. Instead, we got into our separate cars. Since I've driven there, I just beeline it down a different direction. So he's calling me nonstop and he's like, where are you going? Like, your house is that way. I'm just weaving through because I'm freaking out like, oh my gosh, this person's crazy. They're snooping in my purse and in my phone. Oh my God. Anyways, I had to get back home though. But I figured that he might be there. So I called my sister who was at my home and I'm like, yo, this is what's up. Do you see their car outside? She goes, yeah, his car is outside. I'm like, do not answer the door. Oh my gosh. So I camped out in a church parking lot for some time to try to wait it out. Ask me how many missed calls I had. It was like 119. 119 missed calls. So I kept calling my sister and I told her, I was like, okay, if you haven't seen the car, I'm gonna come home. Can you open the garage door so I can just beeline it in and then shut the garage door so that he can't see my car is there? And yeah, we did this whole plan and that's what I did. And now it's on the internet. And guess what? I dated that person after that. Yep, I sure did for over 2 years. Anyways, on that note, grab your beverage. It's hydration station time and I got water in my cup. Cheers. Next one is anonymous. Oh my effing God, Joss. I'm so excited that it's starting that way. Before I start this story, I would just like to say, yes, I am in therapy and yes, I am trying to keep building a relationship with my sister despite the relationship with my mom's parents. Uh-oh, we got some family drama. My female 20 mom's parents have been a cause of drama throughout my life. I've known ever since I was 13 or 14 that they didn't have a good relationship with my mom. Her mom was emotionally neglectful and she was jealous of the bond my mom and her dad have. And no progress has been made in restoring that relationship. My sister, female 16, went to live with my mom's parents when she was 12 after fighting with my parents for years. She was diagnosed with oppositional defiance disorder, aka ODD, and she had a lot of major behavioral issues. It got to a point that it was unsafe for me and my brothers to be around her as she would kick, scream, punch, and occasionally chase us with sharp objects. Understandable. Before anyone assumes anything, no, there was no abuse in the home. We are a military family and her biological father is a convicted felon. I'm not saying that's the cause of her problems, but I am saying that her genetics from her bio dad combined with instability from early childhood did increase the likelihood of her having ODD. She made significant progress with her behavioral issues despite discontinuing therapy after moving, and I'm very proud of her. It's hard watching her life from a distance, but I understand it is what she needs. We are starting to get closer now. Going back to my relationship with my mom's parents, it really went sour right after my high school graduation. My grandmother sent my mother a message stating that my biological father was sending a letter in the mail. She has since denied that she gave him our address, but knowing her, I doubt that. If he somehow did find our address through work, he is in cybersecurity, that's honestly worse. When my grandmother ended up attending my graduation party, she was pissy that she wasn't invited to the ceremony. We tried to explain that I had a limited amount of tickets and that none of my grandparents were able to attend the ceremony. 3 sets in total. My stepdad's parents are divorced and remarried, plus my mom's parents equals 3 sets in total. During the graduation party, she was acting generally antisocial towards my friends and other grandparents, only talking with her husband and my aunt and uncles. her children. After the fact, she expressed that my sister had to choose between attending my graduation party or going on a class trip, essentially trying to guilt trip me into thinking my graduation wasn't as important as that experience that my sister missed out on. A few months ago, I expressed to my aunt who had visited that I was frustrated with my grandmother's behavior and how I felt I couldn't trust anyone on that side of the family. That, of course, got back to my mom's parents, resulted in a very stressful back and forth between my grandmother and I over text, and I haven't been in contact with anyone on my mom's side except my sister in 8 months. Now, to begin the actual story. Oh, girl, I thought this was the story. I got engaged a month ago and I recently asked my sister to be a junior bridesmaid. I've talked with my fiance, male 20. Oh my gosh, you guys are little babies. I only say that because I'm 32 and I'm still not engaged. That's all. 20 just seems very young to me. And he's not sure if we should even invite my grandparents. My fear is that if I don't invite them, it'll cause an even bigger divide between my family and my mom's parents. But if I do invite them, they'll ruin my wedding day with their attitudes or by picking a fight with my parents or my other grandparents. After talking with my therapist, she gave me some guidance that maybe I should break the no contact to test the waters to make the decision on if I should invite them. It's making me very uneasy and I'm not sure what to do or what I will do if things get worse between us. My fiance has been very supportive and I don't want him to get dragged into the mess. He hasn't met them, but he has read the exchanges my grandmother and I have had, and he said that she sounds like a shady bitch. If you or anyone in the comments have any advice, it would be much appreciated. As the wedding is in 6 months, I'm not sure if this will get out in time. We got you, girl. This was pretty recent. If you haven't talked in 8 months, I don't know why they would be invited to your wedding. They're not in your life. They're not really involved in your relationship. They're not in your life in a good way, even when they are in your life. So I'm leaning towards no. Like, protect yourself and your peace and enjoy your beautiful day. And honestly, like, your grandparents, if you guys haven't talked in 8 months, are they really gonna be that surprised that they're not invited to that? Like, you're not in my life. But anyways, sound off in the comments, guys. Give her some advice. Next one is anonymous. This situation that I will be telling you about is already over. Thank God I have a happy family now. But when one of my kiddos was about 4 months old, I was with her donor. Were they actually a donor, or are you just calling them that because we're mad at them? We had some money issues in the past when I was pregnant and we fought a lot and he kicked me out. Okay, so we just don't like them. I was a dumbass and went back to him because I was alone, postpartum again, another donor again. So I figured since I lived with my mom, maybe we could try and work things out and become a family. LMAO, I was so wrong. We stayed a night or two at my mom's, then he'd have to go back to where he was staying so he could work. Then I would come there a couple of weeks and stay the night and he would help with our baby and things were nice. He even proposed with the most gorgeous fake ass ring off Amazon. Luckily not Temu. Hey man, a ring is a ring. Right after sexy time, while we were still in bed. Wow, I feel like we really just got the in on your proposal. Men, don't do this. One night we were supposed to have an early Christmas alone so we could plan things with families in December when it was actually Christmas. He came over late because of work. I had been up all night before and we were staying up together to build a toy that I had trouble with for the kiddos. I had fallen asleep around 2 a.m. I woke up the next morning at dawn to him not there and cameras showing he left at 4 something in the morning. I called and called and called. When he finally picked up, he told me his dad had a heart attack. So I waited till the next day and called to check on him and nothing. I was so fed up and also, unfortunately, yet fortunately, having, oh no, a miscarriage due to this stress, I ended up calling his sister. She was so fed up with his lying and slacking off at work that she finally told me. While he was away for work, he had been drinking, possibly doing other things, couch hopping at random girls' places and asking them all for money for his cigarettes and lunch. Yes, I paid him too, and there's so much more BS to this. And for the lovely cherry on the effery top, I was the side hoe. What? How could that be? The whole entire time he was talking to her before we broke it off when I was pregnant. After I left, they became official and was still sleeping with us both. And even better, she knows how faithful he is and loves the drama and stays with him till this day, and they are flipping married. I am long over this shite now, and there's loads more to it. But I figured you would enjoy this small juicy bit from my chaotic past. And again, thank God I am happy now with a giant antique period on my finger. And he is a handsome, understanding man who's more of a father than any of my kids' donors are. Amen to that. I mean, if she wants to marry that man, okay, girl, you can have him. Next one is anonymous. Wow, I am unsure how to write this or to where I should start. First, I will say that I love your videos. Oh, don't make me cry. And thank you for the hydration station. You never fail to make my day with your amazing cheeriness. My cousin and I had been close for many years. The story consists of me, my bratty cousin, 27, and my cousin's boyfriend named Drew, 22. So now you know enough. It is time to start the drama. I had a graduation dinner last year and I struggled to get a date. Many of my male friends were busy or had a girlfriend, so they were unable to take me. The only person I knew of was my cousin's partner. Uh-oh. I have no romantic feelings for this man, and it is strictly friendly as he is family in a way, and he is my cousin's boyfriend. Duh. My mom and dad didn't want me to go alone as it was a once-in-a-lifetime event for my case, and so I reached out to ask my sister and her partner if it would be okay to take Drew as my date. I feel like I understand where this could go wrong. My cousin tried to dodge it and pass off her friend's son to be my date, one I didn't know, but he had a girlfriend, so she later agreed to it. Drew was fine with this arrangement. Drew took me to the graduation dinner. I had a blast and talked to my friends the whole night as Drew kept to himself, only rarely making conversation with anyone, hence why I stuck to my friends. Okay, initial thoughts. If you guys aren't even really talking while you're there, why don't you just go alone? I'd sit with him at the bar sometimes to check up on him and see if he was all right, and that was it. Back off to my friends I would pop. Fast forward 3 months, and I received a text. It was from my cousin. She accused me of trying to hold Drew's hand at the graduation and getting up close and personal with him, claiming that he told her that. I was taken aback. None of what she accused me of happened, and I was with my friends all night. I wondered how Drew supposedly thought that and told my cousin that, as well as why this was brought up months later. I texted my cousin back how it didn't happen and how I was sorry about the misunderstanding if there was any. I also told her how I was with my friends the whole night, so it wasn't possible to have this happen. She flipped and got angry at me, claiming I was lying, and she hasn't spoken to me since. I asked my friends about it and if there was room for there to be a misunderstanding, but they agreed that nothing happened and it was messed up how she reacted. I still have not gotten an apology, but that is typical of her. I later talked to Drew, asking if he told my cousin those things. Drew ended up admitting that my cousin got jealous that I took him to my graduation, so she lied to me, her family, and my parents. I had it at that point. My cousin's parents are on her side saying I need to let it go and that I shouldn't have even taken him as my date and that I am a homewrecker. Safe to say I cut them off and let it go. I am at a loss as to what to do about it, but I have left it as I don't want any more drama. I have told my partner about all of this and he is telling me to do what I think is best and thinks this situation was blown up by my cousin. So Joss and YouTube, what would you have done? Okay, personally, I probably wouldn't have gone. I would have just gone solo. However, if she was going to be jealous of that, she should have just voiced that to you from the beginning and said, I'm not comfortable with that. And then we could have just gone on with our lives. Let me know what you guys think of this one. I'll see you in the comment section. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. Bye.